right, guys, we can start. Let's start in Sukhasana. So go ahead and come seated on your props, your two blankets, if you've got two blankets in the book fold, and just come seated on top of those. Yeah, there you go, Lucy. And we'll cross our legs at our mid shins for Sukhasana. When you bring your legs into this cross, see that the shin bones line up with the top of your mat, and then check the eyes of the knees. So that's the center of the kneecaps, that they move out, straight out towards the very top edge of your yoga mat. And then lean over one side to the other, take the hand, upper hamstring, lower buttock, rotate out, draw back. Do this on both sides. Lower buttock flesh rotates out and back. Yeah. And then bring your fingertips into your blankets, and you'll press and lift your side rib cage. Bring the very tops of your shoulders down away from your ears. Your chin is parallel to your yoga mat. Remember, your shoulder blades are going to rotate away from your spine. You'll bring your sacrum in and down, your abdominal wall slightly back. So think of this movement as just kind of slightly moving the abdominal wall away from the t-shirt. Good. Make sure that the chin is parallel. You can bring your hands together into Namaskarasana, hands to the heart center. Begin your Ujjayi breathing. You want your chin to be parallel to your mat. And just for a moment, you'll focus your gaze out in front of you on the mat or the floor. Again, Ujjayi breathing, it's sounded both ways. So there's a sound to the inhalation, and there's a slight sound to the exhalation. As you take the inhale, move the inhalation out into your outer rib cage, your back rib cage. Fill the lungs with your inhalation. Exhale through your nose with your exhalation. You want to empty the lungs completely. Also try to find passivity here as you begin your Ujjayi breathing. So there shouldn't be any tension or stress either way on the inhalation or the exhalation. Mr. Iyengar has a quote that says, find activity and passivity, that these things must go together in asana. So as you're very active here, you're also finding places that you're passive. Close your eyes if you hadn't done so. Continue to center yourselves here using your breath. I'll chant Om. You can join in, or you're welcome to just listen. Om. Exhale your breath. Bow your head by bringing your chin to the groove of your neck. Bring your hands down to the very tops of your legs. Center your head, and as you exhale the breath, you can slowly open your eyes and release your hands. Very good, guys. Go ahead and come to the very top edge of your blankets. If you're using blankets, stay in Sukhasana. If you have blocks, bring your blocks out in front of you on your mat. I've got my blocks on the medium level, and I'm going to bring the hands over the blocks. So take a grip of the blocks. Now, I want you guys to stretch the index finger out towards the very top of your block. Press down into your blocks and then push your blocks forward. One thing I want us to notice here is the weight in the hands. Is the weight in the hands even? So do you have the same amount of weight in the left hand as you do in the right? Keep extending the index finger out towards the top of the mat. Good. Now bring your thoracic spine in, your back body in, so the space between your shoulder blades move in and down towards your yoga mat. Concave the back, concave the spine. Grip over your blocks, or maybe you're still gripped over, but bring your blocks back towards you and then come seated. And then we'll uncross and we'll recross opposite. So whichever leg you had furthest away, bring that one closest to you. And then again, adjust the flesh. So once more, lean over side to side. Make sure that you're crossed at your mid shins. So let's see, Luciana, bring your feet a little forward of that blanket. That's perfect. Perfect. And then again, grip over your blocks, but press down. So your hands are not here, they're not light, but they're really heavy. And the index finger is drawing out in front towards the top of the block. Do this, move the breastbone up away from the navel before you begin to push your blocks forward. Now, once you get your blocks all the way out in front of you guys, see if you can kind of walk the fingertips, or especially the index finger, closer to the top edge of those blocks. Good. Draw your outer hips, your outer knees, and your outer feet down. And then again, concave the thoracic spine. So the space between your shoulder blades move down or move towards your mat. Keep your sits bones against your blankets. Perfect, perfect. Your chin, remember your chin can move towards the groove of your neck, but your breastbone is still reaching up towards the very top edge of your mat. Grip over your blocks and move them back towards you. Perfect. And then extend the legs out in front. And once more, adjust the buttock flesh. So remember, your legs are in an internal rotation. When you guys hear me say or refer internal, that means the rotation is from the outer legs to the inner, like this. Internal rotation. So as you move the buttock flesh, that internal rotation happens where the outer legs move down. Bring the base of your big toes together. Bring the inner heels and the inner ankle bones together. And let's start with the dorsiflex of our feet. Let's see how this movement forward changes. If you need a strap, you can grab a strap for Paschimottanasana. If not, bring the upper leg bones down, bring the shin bones down, activate the feet. So let's do the dorsiflex of the feet. Bring the 10 toes back towards the knees. Take the arms out in front, lift the navel away from the pubic bone, move forward. Let's grab our heels, grab your heels. Inhale, move up, lift the navel away from the thigh bones, and then exhale, widen the elbows out to your sides and fold. So there still needs to be weight in your center heels or your heels. Still move your upper leg bones down and have that internal rotation. Let's check the feet to see that we are doing a dorsiflex. Guys, we used to do the dorsiflex a lot more than we've done it lately, but see if you can stretch your 10 toes all the way back towards your kneecaps. Great. And then inhale, lift up, have a good grip on your feet or your strap, and then exhale to release. So remember, just sit for a moment, but watch. And I don't know how much you can tell from the camera, but when you move forward, guys, and you grab, you don't want to do this. So you don't want to grab your feet like this, or even your strap. If you're using a strap, put some weight in your hands, using that weight in your hands to really move that weight into your feet. Why? Why? So that you can use that resistance to move up and out. Do you see? So when we come forward, we don't want to grab like this, but put some weight in the hands, more like this. Grab, really draw the heels in and use that resistance to lift and then fold. Okay, so one more time of Paschimottanasana. So if you don't need a strap, extend the arms out. Even if you do, if you're using a strap, stretch the arms out, lift the navel up, move forward. Great. Now put some weight in your hands, whether that be against your strap or against your feet. Good. So as you grab your feet, guys, draw in, move your hands into your feet, and you'll feel this change the position of your leg bones. Move your navel up and away from your pubic bone. Take any hollowing out of your chest and out of your abdominals. So if you look at your abdominals, or you could see your chest, if there is any kind of concavity, move the spine in and up. In it, that's it. And then inhale, stretch up, and exhale, release. Perfecto. Perfect. Let's do our blanket roll. I don't know. I'm in a blanket roll mood. Okay, so we'll take one blanket so you guys can come off of your blankets. And we do this all the time, but I'll still go over and kind of demonstrate a little bit. So What, Diana? So I'm going to take one blanket and then make a roll of that blanket. And if you know already, kind of you pre-know that you're really tight in the upper back or something like that, make your roll smaller. Okay. But if you're okay, just roll your blanket completely up. If you are very flexible, maybe in the back, in the upper back, make two blankets if needed, right? And then sit in front of those blankets with the knees bent and your feet pressing into the mat. Lift the bottom, scoop. So that scoop action is here. Scoop the sacrum and the tailbone, and then use the elbows to come down over the blanket. So when you first come down over the blanket, our first placement of this blanket is going to be right below the shoulder blades. So check, right below the shoulder blades. You may have to kind of lift the bottom and roll over the blanket, but again, right below the shoulder blades. Um, um, Luciana, can you bring it up a little bit? The blanket? Yeah, that's perfect. Perfect. Better way to do it. So again, right at the tip, the bottom edge of your two shoulder blades. Once you get your blanket there, keep your knees bent, put your feet on the mat, take your arms out to the sides with your palms up. Good, 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 good. And then you want this opening of the breastbone. One way to get that is to kind of extend out through your thumbs, kind of stretch your thumbs out away from you. Good, good. And you'll feel the shoulder blades move away from the spine. You'll also feel the breastbone spread. Once you get this, let your knees rock gently from side to side. And the placement of the blanket, we won't let the knees go all the way over, but just gently rocking. Good. Now, as you're moving your knees, guys, I want you to focus on the backs of your upper arms remaining grounded. Also notice what this blanket is doing as it is at the base of your shoulder blade. It appears to be doing what? Couple different things. It appears to be moving the breastbone up towards the chin and moving the bottom of your front rib cage down towards your hips, right? So this is that concavement of the upper back. Perfect. As your knees go to the right gently, really move your abdominal wall to the left. So think that, knees going to the right, abdominal wall stretching and moving to the left, and vice versa. Oh, well, tired of talking already that quick. Again, feel as if the muscles here, guys, and the bones, so the back rib cage is spreading, the shoulder blades are spreading, and all of the muscles that are at the back body or that support the spine are moving away from the spine. Bring the knees to the center. And I think there's a couple of ways to do this. You can lift your bottom up and just kind of roll over the blanket a little bit deeper, or move side to side over your blanket a little bit deeper. So now your blanket roll is down below your shoulder blades and it's around your back rib cage. It's around your back rib cage here. And then one thing that I can notice, because I'm I don't know what out of alignment is that when I'm lying on this blanket around the lower back rib cage, or around the back rib cage, I feel that one set of ribs is pressing deeper or heavier into the blanket roll. Can y'all feel that maybe? That maybe there's one side that appears to be lighter on the blanket. Now that the blanket is down at the back rib cage, again, begin to move the knees. Can we think of this movement of the knees as you're having one knee and one hip? Not necessarily them moving separately, but pretend that your knees are tied or your legs are tied in this internal rotation. Remember, internal. And then as your knees go to the left, your abdominals go to the right, you may be able to take the knees over a little bit further if you feel okay with that. You may not, you may choose to not move the knees at all. Maybe that, maybe you don't have the flexibility as of yet. Good, 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 good. Okay, bring the knees back to the center. We just have 20 more of these rolling over the blankets to do. But you've got the blanket at the lower back rib cage. Lift up and roll over a little bit deeper. So now my blanket is at the lumbar spine. It's above the sacrum. And in this one, I feel like this gives a little more of an arch, right, to your lower back. So when you get here with the blanket down at the lumbar spine, you can kind of wiggle your legs and your feet forward some, your feet forward a little bit to give a little more space around the front of your hips. So the hip flexors. So once you get the feet moved away from the bottom a little bit deeper, then let the knees gently, again, go side to side. Since this blanket is down lower now, the knees can go all the way over to one side and rest there. Again, if that's okay with you and your flexibility. There's a gentle movement of the abdominals opposite of your knees. So when your knees go to the left, I want you guys to really focus on your right back rib cage and its position to your blanket. We got it? So when your knees move over to the right, check the back left rib cage. Just be aware of where it is, whether it's lifting up away from the blanket or drawing down. You want it to draw down into the blanket. And then that you feel more of a kind of a twisting of the spine, right? Bring your knees, if they're not at the center, go ahead and bring them to the center. And then I'm going to walk my feet in close to my bottom, lift my bottom, and with my hands, push my blanket down to the sacrum. So I'm seated on the blanket. And then once I get seated on that blanket at the sacrum above the plumber's cleavage. I do like that one. And I usually laugh at that one. And even though I've been saying that for like 10 years, I still cracks me up every time. So now that you're at that blanket, you'll kind of draw your torso back towards the top of your mat. You see, so you're letting the blanket kind of move the posterior pelvis down. You're moving your torso back towards your head. Yeah, good, good, good. Lift up, again, take your hands to your blanket. You can push your blanket down to right at the lower buttock, upper hamstring, and then just straighten your knees, one knee at a time. And then once you straighten the knees, you'll rest. Just kind of relax here. See if maybe you can find a little bit of additional length or space in the back, in the spine. Yeah, your legs can relax, your face can relax, your arms, your hands can relax. And then bend your knees. You can bend one at a time. You can drag the heel towards the bottom and then bring the knees into the chest. You can again wrap the arms around the knees. You can roll or move side to side here. And then with your exhalation, you'll roll over to your right side and you'll use your hands against your mat to bring yourself seated. Perfect. Perfecto. And then once we come seated, go right into Adho Mukha Virasana, or child's pose. So big toes together, and you're gonna sit right on top of your heels. So your sitting bones and your heels line up. Avoid this. So avoid sitting your outer hips inside of your heels, right? So we wanna tuck the outer heels in and sit right on top of our heels. Big toes are together. When you come forward, guys, draw your shin bones up, your femur bones down, walk your arms and your hands out. And you'll get your arms out pretty far. And once you do that, bring your forehead down. Good. So your knees are separated. Take your knees a little bit wider than your hips or your hip points. Yeah. And then as you're walking your hands and arms out, bring your thoracic spine in. So concave your upper back. Kind of move your chest towards the mat. Good. There's still that movement of your shoulder blades away from your spine. Still your back rib cage spreads. Your back rib cage spreads. So if you go back to when we were lying on the blanket and I said the breastbone's moving towards the chin, see if you can do that here. Yeah, breastbone moving towards the chin. There's a concaving in the upper back. The elbows and the inner wrists, or the elbows and the wrists, are up away from the mat. Take your next exhalation and then just let your elbows bend and rest. Bring your head up and take your gaze towards the top of your mat. Spread your fingers. We'll come into dog pose. So you can shift your weight right over your shoulders, line up over your wrists. Take your toes apart, your big toes apart, toes onto your mat. Lift your knees up and come to dog pose. Now in dog pose, guys, if your heels are easily touching your yoga mat, begin to move your legs back so that this becomes more action, right? You've got to really descend your calf muscles. So bring your calves down, bring your heels down. Descend. Let's do this. We haven't done this in a long time. Lift all 10 of your toes only, not your feet, not your inner feet, not your outer feet, only your toes, all 10 of them. And now push with your hands and bring your heels straight down. Great, 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 great. And then exhale, release. And again, back to child's pose, Adho Mukha Virasana, any way that you want to take that for a moment. And then go ahead and come up and watch. I'm going to use my blanket again. This is another one. We're doing some oldies but goodies. So, y'all know oldies but goodies has to include the P word. Diana guessed it. Okay, so I'm going to take this blanket and I make it a little bit smaller than it was before. So I'm just rolling the edge up. The fringe part of the blanket's still kind of out in front of me. So I'm rolling that smooth edge up, right? And then I'm going to come standing and I'm going to bring my blanket roll. It's not too big. So if it's too thick, it will kind of press on the abdominals and not be very comfortable. So it's not a very thick roll, but watch. First place I'm going to go is here. I'm holding on to the blanket. Want evenness in the inner and the outer feet, 10 toes moving forward. I have to do this, guys. Watch. You have to kind of come up and over the blanket and almost clamp that blanket there. And then just for a moment, I'll take Uttanasana, spreading here, watch. Sitting bones here go out. And the movement of the posterior pelvis is this. Keep watching. From here, I want to lift the hamstrings up. I want to let the sitting bones do this. Watch. Go over towards the low back. And I'll come here. And then eventually we'll walk into dog pose. But get that first initial clamping of your blanket. Now listen, If you are hollow here in the abdominals, watch what happens. Because there's nothing to clamp. You see? So you've got that hollowing in the abdominals and in the front of the pelvis. And so you're not able to kind of clamp and squeeze the blanket, right? So see if you can lift the breastbone, open up the hip flexors, and then come up and over that blanket. Really fold up and nice. Good, 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 good. Make sure that you're holding that blanket. Before you let your hands move from it, make sure that you can hold that blanket between your hip points and your femur bones. Shift so that you're even in your feet, guys. What you could do is you could take your hands to your sit bones and see that your sitting bones are lined up over your heels, not moving behind your heels, but directly in line. That's it, Aiden. That's it, Aiden. Perfect, perfect, perfect. This should also change. This should articulate differently when you're lining your sitting bones up over your heels. Now, guys, descend your lower legs, the back of your lower legs. See if you can stretch them down towards your mat. And the center of your upper leg, see if you can stretch up towards your bottom. Maybe you're able to bring your sitting bones up and over into your low back, and you'll feel an additional spreading of your abdominals. Spreading, it's an internal rotation. Let's see if we can walk our arms out in front of us. It's just as much as you can. And up through your fingertips. Don't lean, we're not in dog pose yet. We're just simply getting kind of a space in the spine in Uttanasana. Not dog pose, guys. Keep your feet, your legs, your hips where they are and see how far out you can walk your hands. That's it, Hannah. That's nice. Check again, even if you don't use your hands, but you can, with your mind's eye, see that your sits bones are over, lined up with your heels. Good. Keep holding your blanket. Walk yourselves into dog pose. Keep your heels grounded. Your heels stay against your yoga mat. Your heels stay drawing down. Use your calf muscles. Good. Walk the hands and arms out here as far as you can. That's it. Press your weight back into your outer hips, outer knees, outer legs. Perfecto. Again, move the breastbone up towards the chin. Good. Now, bring your heels down, guys. Bring your heels down. Perfecto. Walk your hands back. Grab your blanket with your hands and then come up. Very, very nice here. And then go ahead and we'll move this blanket to the side. I'm just going to do one more lower leg stretch before we move on and do some wall poses. I said poses, not pigeon. I said poses. So your 2 blocks are just going to be here. And, you know, I know some of you that were coming in to the studio right before the pandemic remember standing in the back of the chair. And this is as close as we can get to that, okay, without actually having a chair. So I'm going to come right in front of the blocks and put my fingertips in front, just like this, to push the blocks towards me. And then I'll take one foot up at a time, and I'm going to bring the base of the toe. So that's like a dorsiflex. Automatically you feel the descension of your lower legs. You feel the weight in your heel bones. And then I'll bring the other foot up. I'll do this for both sides. And this is the toe joints are up. It's almost like I'm flexing the feet. You guys keep watching. The tendency is going to be to move the hips back. I want to do this. Oh my goodness. Move the outer hips, sitting bones forward, and walk the hands out. Now at the end, we'll make this attempt to stand. When we stand, we're going to swing the arms up, lift the interior pelvis, descend. Oh, the posterior pelvis. So front of the pelvis goes up, back of the pelvis goes down. Okay. 2 blocks. come forward before you step up and just put your fingertips on the block, kind of moving the blocks towards you. Yeah, and then one set of toe joints up at a time. Come to the padding or the toe joints, not the toes themselves. There's a difference, right? This is where we want the weight. We want the weight in the toe joint, not the toes, but in the base of the joint. And try one at a time. And then it'll be tough, but move as you're pressing the blocks. I mean, move your hips forward. Good, move your hips forward. We're not standing yet. Move your hips forward. And then there's this automatic descending of the lower legs, yes? Lift the kneecaps. Let the kneecaps draw up towards your quads. Lift your quadriceps. Good. See if you can walk your hands out in front of you, past or in front of your blocks. Good, 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 good. Now see if we can stand. So you can walk the hands back and then see if you can stand tall. Remember, lift the front of your hips up and descend the posterior pelvis. You can swing the arms up. That always helps me. Nice, good, good. And then release. Good. Perfecto, perfecto, perfecto. 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 Okay, so now I'm going to do, so you will need a wall, and I think we've all got that, but I'm going to use my 2 blocks in front, warrior 3, just to put in again. We've already warmed up the back of the legs. You really need your legs in warrior 3. Really, that's all you've got. You're balancing on one leg, right? So I've got my 2 blocks, and I have them on the higher level. And I'm going to use 1 foot to the wall. So I'll step the right foot into the center, and then I'll take the left leg back. And when I bring that left foot on the wall, I want the toes. So you'll see that internal rotation. You guys watch. You'll see, notice here, you'll see that internal rotation. So internal here, hip going back, just like that. And we want to see that that right leg is right underneath us. And I think most of you guys know this. We'll be here, and then we'll see if we can come here, hands to the hips. Okay. So, and I don't know how you would measure that. Just test run it. Yeah. So remember, you want to step your your right leg into the center. Yeah. And then you take your left leg back and your left foot is on the wall with your toes down. And then kick the wall as if you're going to kick through it. That's it. Take your outer left hip, everyone, and rotate it straight down towards the mat. Nice, 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 nice. Good, straight down. So you feel that internal rotation. Now, if your bottom leg is not in line with your outer hip, so then hop your bottom foot back a teeny bit. So if it's not in line, you won't be able to move your hands from your block. So check that that right leg is in the center and it's lined up. Turn the outer left hip down. Once you get this, guys, bring your hands to your hips. Good. Lift the chest. Great. Great, 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 great. And then hands to the blocks and release. Perfect. You okay? So we'll go the other direction. So watch, I'm going to bring the left in. And then, I've got the camera, even though I really can't see it. But now you could see a little bit better. This hip, that bottom hip goes back like that, strongly, very strongly. Your right toes are down and that right hip does this, the outer part here. Now you remember we did that internal rotation sitting, same thing here. And then again, walk the blocks out further in front to begin with, and then see if you can bring the hands to the hips. But stay here for a moment just to get that feeling in the in the hips and the legs, that evenness. Good. Some of you can even turn the top foot in like an internal rotation. So, Luciana, turn your right toes to the left, just a teeny bit, other way. A little more. Yeah, perfecto. I don't ever get excited about anything. Okay, now, if you can do this, hands to your hips. Maybe you can only get one hand to one hip. Doesn't mean you have to get both hands up. Good. Good, Diana. Once you get there, extend the spine, kind of lift the chest. Nice. And then release. Perfecto. Perfecto. Release. Very nice, guys. So the thing about, and then we'll do this just for fun. Really, it really is just for fun. But the thing about it is I want to draw our attention. I feel like I'm giving a speech or something. But I would like to, or I am doing a class, but I feel like I'm in like a college class speech or something. Yes, a lecture. So, right, that's Diana's, she's saying I'm the professor and I'm giving a lecture. That's what it feels like. Now I forgot what I, oh yeah, forgot what I was gonna do. So what I wanna do is really draw our attention to that outer hip, the one that's going to stand in Warrior 3, Virendra 3. So what I'm gonna do is take a block, and what I think that we've done is I think we started with our right leg on the mat first, standing on our right leg in that Warrior 3. So what I want us to do is have a block. It's on the flat level, and I want to stand behind the block, and I'm going to put the right foot on the block, just like that. And then I'll step the left leg back, and you guys watch, and I'll bend this right knee a lot, and I'll take the hand here, and I'll draw the hip back. And then I'll move my weight forward, not back, watch. And I'll come stand. I want to keep this hip tucked in. Put my hands on my hips, let my left toe sink to the mat. Watch what that does to the outer hip. You see that it went from here to in, here. And then I'll try to lift those left toes, and we'll go out with that leg to the left leg out to the left, out and in. AD and AB muscles, the abductors. Okay, so right foot is on the block, but take your left leg back. So no, Diana, yeah. So once you get your right foot on, put your hands on your hips, and then step up, take that left leg back. Yes, great. Little bit further back, Ada, your left leg. Yeah, and then everyone bend your right knee and lie your right front rib cage on your right femur bone. Take your right hand in an L shape and draw back. Do this for a moment. Keep the knee bent, really move the torso in, bend the knee, and then with your own hand, draw your right hip back. Now shift your weight towards the top of your head and step up. Keep your knee bent until you're stepped up, and then slowly straighten the right knee. Use the hip. Outer foot. Good. Take your left toes down to your mat. Draw your outer right hip in. Good. Let them come all the way down. Yeah, perfecto. Hands to the hips. Tuck the outer right hip in, guys. Now, take your right leg, kind of point your right toes, and take your right leg out and back in. Out and back in. Left leg, out and in. Y'all are like, what? I can't do that. Guys, don't lean. Try your very best not to put all of your weight on that hip as you're moving the left leg out. Stand very evenly in your right foot, inner and outer foot. Inner and outer right foot is firm to the block. Nice. Perfect. And then you guys can step down. Nice. I didn't give you a number, but do that same thing on your opposite side. So make that even. So if you took that left leg out 20 times, do that on the opposite side. But once you step your left foot on the block, take your right leg back And to me, the hardest, most difficult part of this is when I lean over the top of that left leg. Do y'all feel that there's a weight shift, right? There's a weight shift, and there's almost a, and I hate to use the word locking, which, you know, that word is used in the Iyengar tradition, but there's almost like a locking of your outer hip, the left one now. And then once you've bent over, so you're right over the top of that left leg, shift your weight forward and step up. Step up really slowly. Good, good, good. Good. Once you get here, you can let your right toes come down, and that gives almost like a lock of that outer left hip. And also check that you've got weight in your inner and your outer left foot. And then both hands to your hips to keep your hips points square and even. And then take your leg out. Point your right toes. And remember, don't swing. So we're really trying to use that outer hip, the one you're standing on. Remember, any balance pose, guys, you've got to use your only standing leg or arm or whatever you're balancing on. So there is almost this tucking of your lower buttock in on your left leg. Good, good, good. Again, try not to lean or swing, but with control, take the leg out, and with control, draw the leg in. You're actually using muscles here to do that. A few more seconds. Good, great, 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 great. And then exhale, release. Now, I did all that to try to attempt Warrior 3 without a prop. So what I'm going to do is kind of like we did a moment ago. I'm going to come into a lunge, and I think I'll leave the right leg forward. So actually, we could come here, here, here. Now I'm over that hip just like we were on the block. Got to apply the exact same thing. I got to tuck that right hip in, move my weight forward, and come up. Oh, that was hard. No, it wasn't. That was super easy, guys. Okay, so you can move your block out of your way, and it's the right leg forward and the left leg back. Put your fingertips down on your mat. Let's go ahead and bring that left knee down. So we'll be here to start. Good. Take your arms up. Exhale, come forward. Press through your fingertips, your head. Bring your left toes to your mat. Shift your weight forward. Take your left leg up, straighten your right. Warrior 3. And try to bend the right knee. Come back down. That's excellent, guys. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. So, can you feel how you use the front hip or the hip that you're standing on? It should feel the exact same way as it did when you stood up on the block. Do you see your weight is coming from here to here? Okay, so try your other side. And remember, your weight now is going to be on the left hip. So you could come kneeling with the left foot forward. Here it goes down and back. When you come forward here, you already feel that weight on the outer left hip. Stretch the arms out. Keep your torso there. Bring your right toes to the mat. So lift your right knee up. And then shift your weight forward, straighten your left knee and your right. Good, good. And then come back down. Perfecto. Perfecto. Perfect. And then just come down. Oh, that's all we're going to do with that. So let's do our take your blankets again. This is really going to be fun. They don't believe me when I say that, Luciana. That's why they laugh. This isn't going to be fun. It's going to be a challenge, but you could use one or two. I'm going to use two blankets, fold it. Actually, I'm going to use one, but I'm going to start sitting in front of the blanket. And you may need another blanket for your back leg, but I'm going to start seated in front of this blanket. And I'm going to do pinwheel. Right leg front. And I want nice and 90-degree angle, top of the mat with my right shin bone. And then that right knee goes out in front, dorsiflex, so you can really get that outer right foot down. And then I'm going to bring this left leg, and you'll know this one, in that same 90-degree angle, the pinwheel pose, just like this. And I'll lift the inner left knee and I'll extend out to the left. And I want to square these hips. I'm trying to move my hip points forward. So we'll sit here for a moment, and then I'll take my left hand and I'll rotate down. And as I rotate that left thigh down, do you see with my hand, I rotate down, and then I'll bring the torso forward here. And then I'll begin to wiggle that left leg back. So what I've got to do is lift my right hip up, pull the right outer hip across to the outer left hip. If I want to go deeper, I'll straighten or take the left leg back further. Okay, so start in the pinwheel, right leg on in front, left leg behind you. Now, what I can say that I notice a lot in the pinwheel, and you will too, I think, your left sitting bone is away from the mat, right? Your left sitting bone is not against your yoga mat. For most of us, it's lifted, right? So drop, you see, Wendy, I see the top of your head, Wendy. So press your inner left foot down and lift your inner left knee up. And then extend your left knee and leg out to the left. Little more weight, yes. Look at your right foot, maybe hold your right foot, lift your right sitting bone, kind of draw it back. Now, L-shaped left hand, rotate that top of the left leg bone down, bring your torso forward. You can bring your arms in front of your right shin bone and begin to wiggle your left leg back. Guys, you're not on your right sitting bone. So once your left leg goes behind you, your right sitting bone is elevated. It's not touching anything. Your outer knee is, which is that protection for your knee joint. There you go. So the left leg goes back. To get the left leg to go further back, bring your toes down and your left knee up. Yeah, and also lift your right hip. Yeah. So Luciana, can you lift your right sit bone up all the way? Yeah. And then maybe get that back leg behind you. There you go. Perfect. Ah, good, 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 good. Right sitting bone is elevated. What you're using is that outer right foot. And then I want you guys to kind of do an internal rotation on your left leg. So outer thigh to the inner growing on your left side. Move your weight to your left. Good. If you feel like you can go deeper, you want to go deeper, bring your left toes down and wiggle your left leg behind you. Your left leg can go further and further behind you. Great, 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 great. Perfect. And then we'll come out. So the way that you'll come out of here, see if we can come up and maybe get this back and switch. Good. Perfect. That's a hard way. Well, you really feel that internal rotation, I'll say, on your back leg. Yes? I didn't see any heads shaking, but I'm assuming y'all all say yes. So look, this is, and it's tough. You feel that, right? You feel that back leg more so. But do you see how this is a continuation of that same internal rotation. There's nothing that's changing. The only thing that's changing is shifting the weight forward, but I'm keeping this internal rotation. It's the same. So then think about your weight on your sitting bones being even, which would mean there'd be no weight on them, right? Front or back. Okay, so come other side. Left leg in, right leg back. Same thing, that pinwheel. And when you're here, I don't know, just for awareness, you could kind of touch your right hip point and just see what direction it's moving. It's not moving towards your inner left knee, but it should. So bring your inner right foot down, lift your inner right knee up, and take your right knee out to the right deeper. And then you can L shape, and you can rotate that top of your right leg down. And we're not going forward yet. And then release. Now see if you take your right hand and move that right hip point towards your inner left knee. And then still lean to your right, come forward. So you're still moving that right hip point, inner left knee. You can begin to wiggle that right leg behind you. In order to get all the way back, I've got to lift that left hip up, take it completely off the mat, and really stretch my right leg out. Nice. Yeah, remember internal. Remember you're on an internal rotation on your back leg. And if you still think about this, that right hip point is still moving where? Towards your front foot, your front inner knee. There you go, Aiden. And maybe you can't do that, right? And that's okay. This can even be energetic, kind of rotating that right hip point in the direction of your inner left knee. That's it, Aiden. That's great. Now, once you get here, remember there's absolutely no weight on your left sitting bone. Diana, what are you doing? Yeah. No, go back. Yeah, you got plenty. We'll wait for you. No, they're okay. Except Wendy. Wendy, are you getting in your rocking? Wendy's in her rocking chair now. Literally, she really is. She's not sitting, she's rocking. Okay, release. I think Wendy's saying it's time to get out of this. Okay, perfect. So remember, you could come back where we started. Good. And then you guys just release. Perfecto. Go ahead and you can move your blanket and let's just stretch our legs out in front of us for a moment. And you can shake your legs. And actually, I think I will go back to this blanket and we'll do one more fire log and then we'll move on. So I'm going to do right leg over on top of the blanket. I put the right leg first. Usually we do opposite, but I've got the right leg on the bottom this time. Then I hold behind the left knee. And remember, you want this. So if you notice, I've got my left hand kind of almost in the inner knee and it's going back. And then the foot is coming kind of in. Do you see? And then I'll bring that top foot down. And then you may have to just sit here. You can adjust the flesh. If you could go deeper, you'll come forward. But remember, you're at a 90-degree angle. And sometimes you can't get both legs over, and that's fine. Make sure your sit bones go back or up towards your low back, not back, but your sitting bones go this direction in this fire log. So let's see, Luciana, can you bring your top foot over that way a little bit more and then towards me, just a teeny, yeah, and then that way. Perfecto. Now try. Yeah, perfecto. Perfecto. Great, great, great. You guys come forward. Remember, roll your sits bones over. Maybe you do that with your hands. Yeah, maybe take your hands to your sits bones and you lift them up. It changes, it articulates differently. Here, you're kind of stretching the piriformis. Good, and then come up. Great, that's great. That's wonderful. So maybe I'll see from the side. So sometimes the sits bones feel like they're going forward towards the knees. This is the result of that. There's concaving in the abdominals, and I just can't sit up straight. You see, and one thing, listen, guys, my hips are forward. From your point of view here at the camera, can you tell that the hips are going forward and the shoulders and the torso are going back? So I'm not lined up. You see, my torso is behind my hips. My hips are going forward, so I'm not lined up. In reality, you always want that outer arm bone to line up with your outer hip. So watch. Now, outer arm bone and outer hip. Now I can move in and lift the spine. So make sure to really give a deep adjustment to the buttock flesh. Maybe you use your own hands like this. Is not attractive, but look, up, and then you kind of iron that flesh to move in this direction as you come forward, okay? So first place you want to be is sitting bones going back, not towards your knees, okay? So once you bring your leg over and you get your second leg on top, then again, really do a deep adjusting of that buttock flesh. Imagine that there's a blanket that you're sitting on. And imagine that I'm behind you and I'm pulling that blanket back away from you. So have that same direction of the flesh. That's great. That's great. That's excelente. Now, the further or the more you can move your sitting bones up towards your low back, it's a rolling action. And the more you can do that, the further forward you'll be able to move because you've given the pelvic floor some space. Good. So you've got a place for the torso to go. And again, if you can't get both legs, maybe just one at a time is still good. And then come up, guys. Nice. Good, good, good. Andy, you okay? Yeah. Okay. Wait, did I see? Oh, okay, never mind. All right, so go ahead and move your blanket out to the side. Sorry, yeah, now. And I'm gonna come down. Let's see, let's do Setu Bandha. Sarvangasana, and I'm gonna use one blanket, and that's gonna be for the shoulders, just the shoulders. I wanna really spread the shoulder blades and arm blades out. Back of my head is on my mat. And then I'll walk my feet in. I wanna lift my hips up really high, keeping my shoulders grounded. And then bring that block to the sacrum, remember above the plumber's cleavage. Then I'll bring the feet down. And if I can straighten the knees and keep the feet grounded, I will. But if I can't, keep the knees bent. So if you can't straighten your knees and keep your feet against your mat, then just keep your knees bent. That'd be the safest place to be. Also, and I didn't say this, but if your back, your lower back may be tight, turn your your block down a notch or two. It can go all the way down to the lowest level. If you can have it on that taller level, then do that. But don't feel like the highest level is the only way that you're going to benefit from this, because it's not. Okay, so line your feet up, Luciana. Yeah, there you go. Again, we go back to that internal rotation. And the internal rotation, guys, really moves the muscles away from the spine at your sacrum, at your lower back. That's what an internal rotation does. Kind of opens up the back of the around the sacrum and the lumbar. An external rotation, or letting the knees or feet move out, would cause compression in the lower back, because it would take the muscles there and move them into your spine as opposed to away. I'll show y'all next Wednesday. Good, good, good. Again, anywhere that you're comfortable, straight knees, bent knees, tall block, medium block. Some of you use the wall for the feet. Remember, the palms are up because you still want that opening in your chest. So you can maybe hold your mat. We've sometimes interlaced our fingers around the blocks, which we learned from Jackie Nett actually does cause a little bit compression at the lateral ends of your clavicle. So she says that when you interlace your fingers around that block, believe it or not, it does kind of shorten the space at the lateral edge of your collarbone, which is interesting. Yeah, that's it, Aiden. You could do that. You can interlace and see what you feel, and then you can release that interlace and see if you find that you may find, even if it's a little bit of additional space. Remember, that's the goal. Okay, bend the knees, put the feet on the mat, lift up the bottom and remove your block. So just as you lift up, you can move your block out to the side. And then I'm going to take my hands to this blanket, and actually I'm just going to kind of roll over it and lie across it like this. And you could take the arms out and you can keep the knees bent. That's just the way we'll rest for a moment. Good. Really good, guys. And some of you have your knees straight here, and some of you have your knees bent. And I'll say either is okay. Yeah. If you want to straighten your knees and even take your arms up and over, you can do that. If you want to keep your knees bent, maybe you want to bring your inner knees together and get even more of that internal rotation. Perfect. And then let's go ahead and let's bend our knees. Put your feet on the mat. And I'm just going to roll over to the right, push against the mat or floor, and come up seated. And then I want to move this blanket out. Just move that out to the side. And then we can prepare for, actually, let's release our back some. Let's take a dog pose one more time. And this dog pose, you could go any way you want. Maybe you want to put your hands on blocks or not. But when we come into the dog pose, guys, I want you to watch here. So we're working opposite of this kind of an arch in my low back. Watch. I want to do an internal with my legs, move my abdominals back towards my spine. So again, I fill in the lower back. And since we're using this dog pose to release that back bend, you can even kind of move your heels out like a that. So you get a little internal rotation. Yeah. Now try to get that space. Remember, you're trying to open up that lower back. Trying to open the lower back. Good. Heels can move out. It gives a little more internal rotation. That's it, Diana. Perfect. Straighten the knees. Hug the muscle to the bone. Remember Mr. Iyengar's quotes that I've been reading lately. He says you've got to hug the muscle to the bone. You've got to use this compressional force against the muscles against the bone using the muscle. It feeds the bone. It sends the bones nutrients. So draw the muscle into the bones, arm bones, leg bones, great. And then come down. And you can rest here any way you want and prepare for your inversion. So for your inversion, guys, you could do legs up the wall using 1 or 2 blankets against the wall, hips to the wall, and legs up. You could do Shirsasana. If you're going to do Shirsasana, use a blanket for the head, right? And again, you're welcome to use the wall for Shirsasana, headstand. One thing about headstand that I want us to really know and be very familiar with is that when you interlace the fingers, they're like this. Wait, wait, which camera am I in? Yeah, right here. All right, so this is the interlace for Shirsasana. So when you put the hands, look, it's just like this, and those thumbs really relax and almost support the neck. Think about your hands supporting the base of your skull, okay? So that would be how you would interlace, cup the back of the head and take one leg up at a time. And if you want or you need to use the wall, do that. If you're practicing not using the wall, then you would move your blanket, your block or whatever, your blanket or your mat further away. So maybe you can't do any of that, or maybe you don't want to, or you can, maybe you're menstruating and you shouldn't invert. That would include legs up the wall. So you could sit and maybe just do a forward fold, or headstand, handstand, legs up the wall. Now, Diana, you can let them be really loose, your legs, but see if you can bring them together. But then don't engage. Yeah. Now, that's good. Find your balance. Good, 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 good. And then see if you can straighten your knees a little bit more, but let them. That's great. Great, great, great. Do you want to do anything? Can you lie? Can you do this? Like in, yeah. And if that cord's in your way. Good, good. Those of you in headstand, let your legs relax a little bit. Yeah. This kind of shifts your weight. And, I also like what Henna's doing. I think she's in headstand. She's just bending both of her knees and letting her heels touch her bottom. That's another good way to keep that alignment of the pose. Nice, Diana. Few more seconds, and if you're in headstand, come down whenever you're ready and release your neck. Legs up the wall. We'll be here a few more seconds. Remember, legs up the wall is a very beneficial inversion. It's a good inversion. I know that sometimes we feel like, well, we're not really doing anything, just putting our legs up the wall. I don't know. I read a story a while back about a lady that she was like an ex-runner, and she'd been, very active all her life. She was probably in her mid to late 50s. She was having a bunch of issues. So she finally, she gets into yoga class. People suggest yoga. So she finds an Iyengar teacher, and she starts this practice. And, the first pose that her teacher had her start to practice was legs up the wall. That was the first pose that she had her practice, and she wanted her to practice that daily. So when you think about legs up the wall, there's a lot of benefit to that pose. And it is something that you could do every day. You could do it throughout the day. You shouldn't do it when you're menstruating because it is considered an inversion. So think about that. You get the same effect as if you're doing any other inversion as far as the blood moving opposite. Okay. And then you guys can come down. So if you're in headstand, come down and relax. If you're in legs up the wall, you can kind of bend the knees, put the feet on the wall, either hug the knees or move the bottom back and then roll over and come up. You'll roll to your right always and then come up. Very good, guys. And then you guys take your time to come up. And I'm going to, and I don't know what the benefit of this will be, but we're going to do it. I'm going to use a strap and a block. And I'm going to use that blanket behind the back of my head. So my feet are to the wall. So I'm going to put this blanket for the back of the head. And then when I lie down, I want to bring the edge of that blanket to the tops of the shoulders, just like, so the shoulders are a little bit lower. That gives them a little bit of a drop down onto the mat. Blanket back of the head, smooth edge at the shoulders. And then I'll straighten the knees and push both of my feet into the wall. Supta Padangusthasana. So I'll have one block to the right and a strap. And we'll start here. Okay, so I've got one blanket under the back of my head. Now, you know, they say, this is the thing that they say about this blanket. And I want you guys maybe to notice that bringing a blanket or something soft behind the back of your head is supposed to relax the muscles in the face. And it's also supposed to relax the brain, right? So just notice once you come reclined on that blanket, if you kind of get a sense of this, maybe a little bit of a letting go in the muscles of your face. Yeah. And this is also the reason and the purpose that we use the blanket at the back of the head for Shavasana. Same reason, to get that relaxation, the brain, the face, the throat, the eyes. And then go ahead and grab your block and put the block right outside of your outer right hip. And then take your strap and bring your strap around your right foot. So both of your knees are straight. Left foot stays at the wall. Right foot goes up. Right leg goes up. Strap goes around the right foot. Yeah. Yeah. And then the block goes to the outer right hip. Yeah. 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 That's it. And it'll just be like right there. Okay, now listen, when we take this leg up, we want a straight leg. And I just had we talked about this compression to the bone from the muscle. So same here. And I don't want to use the word tighten, but firm the muscles in your right leg. Firm, firm, firm. And the leg is extended up. That's it. And then energetically move that right thigh bone away from you. So press it towards the back of your leg. See if you can find some space at the right buttock flesh. So can the right buttock flesh become the same length as the left? And it can, even though your leg is elevated, your femur bone goes back and it opens up the hip. So make sure that this leg is straight and that it's the outer hip and the outer heel are lined up. Reach up and grab your strap close to your right foot with your right hand. Turn your right toes to the right. Turn your right kneecap to the right. Take your right leg out to the right. And when you're doing this, move your abdominals to the left. Move your abdominals to the left. Kind of stretch them to the left. You can even look to the left and you bring that left hand down onto the mat. Left arm out to the left. That's what I meant. Left arm out to the left. Now, you can begin to bend your right elbow, really seeking the mat or the floor with the back of your right arm. That's perfect, Luciana. Perfecto. Good. Now, guys, can you really descend or draw your left leg bone straight down? Maybe you cut the yoga mat with your left femur bone. Good. Bring your right leg up very slowly. Hold your strap with your left hand and take your right leg to the left. Good, good. Now your abdominals go to the right here. Your gaze, your right arm, and your abdominals rotate to the right and take your left leg even further over. Again, you can begin to let your left elbow bend. Come to the floor. Now, see if you can get your outer right hip to move towards your left foot. That's it. It really stretches down, increasing the space at the buttock. Great. And then bring your right leg back and pull it into your chest. Bring it in as close as you can. Now, as you're bringing your leg in, move your femur bone back. Femur bone away from you. Good. Thigh bone to the back of your right leg. That's it, Jackie. That's it. And then do what you can with the foot. See if maybe you kind of flex that foot. Yeah, it'll change. Breathe. It'll give a little bit of a change to the position of the muscles in the leg. So use your foot and then release and switch. Perfect. And we've done this test before, guys, where we've dorsiflexed the foot and then we've pointed the toes and then we've flown it, and it changes, it articulates differently. Yeah, that's it. Now move your block over to the outer left hip and then release your right, push your right foot into the wall, take your strap around your left foot. So now your left leg goes up. And then you want to see if you can move that left thigh bone towards the wall or towards your right foot. Good. Do the dorsiflex. Change the foot position. Do different flexes. So dorsiflex. And then point. And then see if you can press the base of the big toe joint up. Does it change what your muscles are doing in your leg? Everyone say yes, even though I can't see anyone's face. Very good. Now go ahead and again, make sure that you're squeezing the muscle to the bone, hugging the muscle to the bone, compressing the bone using the muscle. Excellent. Excellent. Now reach up, grab your strap with your left hand, turn your left toes left, your left kneecap rotates left, ground your right side, take your left leg out. Now remember, the top of your left leg comes to that block that's out to your left. Good, 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 good. Energetically move your abdominals to the right. Even your gaze can go to the right. Remember, you're moving out, you're extending out in all four directions. You're extending through your right foot, extending through your left foot. Your abdominals are grounded. So you move your abdominal wall down towards your mat. Perfect. Now, see if you take your left thigh bone and move it to the back of your left leg. See if that changes what's going on at the leg. So the left femur bone goes to the back of the left leg. Perfect. Bring your leg up very slowly, your left leg, and switch the hand that holds the belt. So your left leg goes to the right now. Good. Now remember, you're looking for a lot of space at your outer left hip. You may even be able to use your own hand to draw that hip down towards your inner right foot. Thigh bone, femur bone goes to the back of the leg, and you can press the femur bone with your muscle, with your quadricep. Good. Now take the abdominals and rotate them opposite of the left foot. Kind of widen the right elbow, bend it. Maybe you bring the back of your right arm to your mat. Now can your left femur bone press towards the back of your left leg? Good. Good. Go a little bit further. And as you're moving the leg over, take the abdominals opposite of the left foot. and then bring the leg back. And then you're going to keep the head and shoulders grounded, but you bring the leg in close to the chest. Again, do that foot thing. Change the direction. Floint the foot, and then point, and then dorsiflex, and see if maybe you get a little more space with one of these foot rotations. Maybe you do. I feel like the front of my leg is really long when I point my toes. When I dorsiflex, the back of my lower leg gets long. And when I floint, it becomes a little more even. And then release. Nice. Stay on your mat, on your blanket. That blanket, remember, it's at the back of your head. And then do Sukhasana. It doesn't matter which leg you bring in first, but cross your legs at your mid-shins. Wiggle your feet closer to the outer edges of your mat. So you're just crossing at your mid-shins. Luciana, I'm tired now. Good. You're just in a supine Sukhasana. And, you know, if you were just to walk by and look at this pose, you'd think, oh, well, I've been doing that since I was like 2. It's a challenging pose, especially to relax in. It's not easy to relax here in supine Sukhasana. So mid-shins. Now, y'all know the drill. See if you can bring that right leg out and bring the outer right foot to the inner left knee. It's almost like a supine fire log at this point. And then you'll see if you can relax that right foot. And then this one comes here. And then try to let the outer foot come. And then now try to relax. It's going to be hard, but try. There you go, guys. Good, good, good. Take a deep breath and switch this. So bring the right leg back down. Bring the left foot up. And it comes to that inner right knee, the left outer foot. You almost hook the ankle over so you're able to relax that left leg some. Once you get your left ankle hooked over your right knee, then see if you can let go. Yeah. It's not easy. Listen, they say that it takes the body 2 to 3 minutes. It takes the brain 3 to 4 minutes to let go. So sometimes that requires that we stay here a moment, maybe taking deep breaths to see if we can let go and relax. A few more seconds. Good. Good. And then release. So you can bring that left leg down for Sukhasana for a second, and then straighten your legs, and we'll take Shavasana or prepare for it. Maybe you want to move. Maybe you want to take your legs up the wall for Shavasana, and that's fine. Or you can uncross, straighten your legs. Maybe you put your feet against the wall. Your arms go out to the sides with your palms up. Good. Now remember, I'm just going to move this back a little bit. Remember the thumb sides of your hands rotate to the mat. So the thumbs go down to the floor, not the mat, because your arms are probably off of your mat. But you do that kind of rolling your thumbs down. And then do whatever you do before you come completely into Shavasana, meaning if you kind of move or rotate side to side to move the shoulder blades out, then you can do that. But once you get on your mat for Shavasana, close your eyes with your exhale and then see if you can again let go. Kind of allow heaviness to come into your body. So every muscle is heavy and every bone is heavy. And, just a quick thing, weight in Shavasana is great. And I know that was more accessible for us when we were in studio to apply weight in Shavasana. But I noticed that, like, Krista's got blocks in her hands, wooden blocks that are a little bit heavier to give that little bit of weight. Maybe you have a blanket across the tops of your legs again to give a little bit of weight. Jackie's little doggy is running across the front of her body. Anything to give a little bit of weight. And again, if you don't have this, that's okay. But begin to let go. And see if you can just take the next few moments to really relax. And not just the body, but you want to relax the internal organs. You want to allow your eyeballs to relax and to kind of reach back away from your eyelids. Begin to deepen your breath. You're going to slowly move your awareness back into the room. Maybe small movements when you're ready in your fingers and in your toes. And you can bend the elbows and bring your hands to your belly or to your heart. When you're ready, stretch your arms up and over your head for a full body stretch, and bring your abdominal wall towards the mat as you reach into the fingertips. Release the arms and hands again to the side body and just rest there for a moment. When you're ready, bend the knees one at a time. Bring the feet to the mat, the wall, the floor. And then again, when you're ready, bring your knees into your heart. You can wrap your arms around your knees and any movements side to side or front to back. And then when you're ready, roll to your right, hold in a fetal position. You can use your right arm or hand to support your head. And then when you're ready, bring yourselves up seated, and that can be any seated position that you like. So maybe the hands come to the heart center, maybe thumbs to the third eye, or just hands resting at the legs. Keep your eyes closed for a moment. Take a moment in silence to honor the true self, not the body, not the mind, not the intellect. In our quote, Guruji would instruct us to raise the chest, to raise the sternum and extend the cervical spine and make the head straight to see what freedom comes to our mental state. Thank you guys so very much for being here. Namaste.